On May 16, 2026, 38-year-old surveyor Steven Mattaboni was killed by a great white shark while spearfishing off Rottnest Island, Western Australia. Mattaboni, a highly experienced freediver and secretary of the Bluewater Freedivers of Western Australia, was participating in a club spearfishing competition near Horseshoe Reef. The reef is located approximately 1 kilometer offshore along the northern perimeter of the island near Geordie Bay, which sits roughly 19 miles west of the state capital of Perth. Mattaboni had traveled to the site with a group of 4 friends utilizing 2 private vessels. The recreational diving excursion took place during a period of high water clarity, drawing numerous weekend boaters to the island's marine sanctuary. The fatal confrontation occurred at approximately 9:55 a.m. local time, while Mattaboni was operating in the open ocean. According to formal police statements, Mattaboni was positioned on the surface of the water approximately 20 meters away from one of the group's dive boats when he was struck from beneath. Lifeguards confirmed that a large great white shark, measuring between 4 and 5 meters in length, had been explicitly detected patrolling within 80 meters of the northern shoreline right around the time of the incident. The shark initiated a sudden ambush strike, focusing its kinetic force directly on Mattaboni's lower extremities. The attack resulted in severe lacerations and profound arterial trauma to both legs. Despite the continued presence of the 5-meter predator, the men navigated their vessel and successfully hauled Mattaboni's heavily compromised body onto the deck. Once the victim was secured on the boat, his friends immediately began administering cardiopulmonary resuscitation while executing an emergency transit toward land. They covered a distance of approximately 1 kilometer to reach the Geordie Bay jetty on the north side of the island. Simultaneously, emergency calls routed through local dispatch units mobilized a large-scale rescue response, alerting local island rangers, Western Australia police units, St. John ambulance crews, and a specialized emergency medical rescue helicopter. Upon the vessel's arrival at the Geordie Bay jetty, land-based medical personnel quickly boarded the craft to take over life support efforts on the dock. To expedite advanced care, a police officer was dropped via winch from an emergency helicopter directly onto the scene to assist paramedics. First responders worked frantically on the pier for over 30 minutes, utilizing advanced trauma kits and resuscitation equipment in an attempt to stabilize the critically injured diver. Despite these prolonged medical interventions, the extreme blood loss and physical trauma sustained during the primary strike proved clinically irreversible. Mattaboni was officially pronounced deceased at the scene, making the confrontation Australia's second confirmed fatal shark attack of the 2026 calendar year, following the January death of a 13-year-old schoolboy in Sydney Harbour. Following the formal pronouncement of death, the Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development issued an immediate public safety broadcast, categorizing the Geordie Bay and Horseshoe Reef waters as high-risk marine zones. State fishery authorities deployed monitoring vessels and aerial patrols to track the great white shark, which remained active near the northern beaches. Beach closures were systematically implemented across Rottnest Island's main tourist areas to mitigate further threat to nearby swimmers. Western Australian police began compiling a formal report for the state coroner to document the specific mechanics of the strike. To examine the geographical history of this specific marine area, researchers must look at the last fatal encounter to occur near this exact portion of Rottnest Island. On October 22, 2011, a 32-year-old American citizen and visiting project manager named George Wainwright was killed by a great white shark while diving solo near Little Armstrong Bay. This location is situated along the northwestern fringe of the island, less than 2 kilometers from the 2026 Mattaboni strike zone. Wainwright had entered the water from a private vessel specifically to free a boat anchor that had become lodged in a submerged rock structure. His 2 companions remained on board the vessel, monitoring his progress through surface ripples before witnessing a sudden, violent upheaval on the ocean's surface. The 2011 forensic report revealed that Wainwright was struck by a 3-meter great white shark that delivered an instantaneous, lethal bite to his torso and upper extremities. Similar to the logistics observed in the 2026 Mattaboni incident, Wainwright's companions observed a massive flurry of bubbles and blood before his body surfaced alongside the hull, with the predator remaining highly aggressive and actively circling the vessel as the remains were pulled from the ocean. The 2011 attack became a highly volatile political flashpoint for Western Australia, as it marked the 3rd fatal shark encounter in the state within a single 7-week span. ultimately forcing the state government to temporarily authorize the deployment of baited drum lines to locate the specific apex predator. Statistically, while shark encounters generate significant media attention, fatal incidents remain rare relative to the total volume of human marine activity. Over the past several decades, Australia has averaged roughly 2.3 fatal shark attacks per year across its 22,000-mile coastline, though data from the 2020s shows a slight elevation to 3 fatal incidents annually. Long-term tracking databases indicate that since formal record-keeping began in 1791, the nation has logged nearly 1,300 total shark interactions, with more than 260 resulting in human fatalities. The vast majority of these encounters traditionally occur along the highly populated eastern seaboards of New South Wales and Queensland, making the concentrated cluster of large great white interactions along the southwestern coast of Western Australia a subject of specific scientific tracking. Marine biologists and research scientists point to a combination of environmental and behavioral variables to explain the concentration of great white activity around offshore geographic features like Rottnest Island. The island sits directly within the migratory corridor of humpback and southern right whale populations, which travel up and down the Western Australian coast during seasonal shifts, providing a primary natural food source that attracts mature apex predators. Furthermore, the presence of large colonies of Australian sea lions and fur seals on the island's rocky outcroppings creates a permanent hunting ground for sharks exceeding 4 meters in length. When human activities like spearfishing introduce blood, low-frequency vibrations, and thrashing fish into these specific hunting zones, the probability of an opportunistic or mistaken identity strike increases. In recent years, the implementation of the SharkSmart reporting network, acoustic tracking tags, and real-time satellite receivers has allowed West Australian authorities to map predator movements, though technology cannot fully eliminate the variables of a wild marine ecosystem. The 2026 Mattaboni fatality serves as a verified data point regarding the presence of apex predators within the Rottnest Island marine shelf, confirming that seasoned divers operating near specialized vessels remain exposed to these environmental variables when entering known hunting habitats. The tracking data compiled by the International Shark Attack File demonstrates that Australia consistently ranks among the top regions globally for unprovoked shark interactions, specifically involving large species such as the great white, tiger, and bull sharks. In 2025, the database recorded 12 fatal shark attacks worldwide, with 9 classified as entirely unprovoked, and Australia alone accounted for 5 of those total deaths. While technologies such as drone patrols and acoustic detection arrays provide localized safety buffers, regional data points confirm that offshore reefs and remote islands remain highly volatile sectors where human presence intersects directly with apex predator activity.